Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Scotty B Show. Today's story is lawmakers want anti drone systems at U.S. defense facilities. This is by John M. Donnelly. The draft defense authorization bill that the House Armed Services Committee plans to mark up in the coming days would require the Pentagon to set up counter drone defenses at a handful of military related facilities inside the United States. The mandate is one of several ways the measure manifests deep congressional concerns about whether the U.S. military and American society more broadly is responding quickly and properly to advances in warfare in ongoing wars. One key question concerns how American forces, both overseas and in stateside bases, might defend against lethal drones. Such weapons are on display in great numbers in conflicts from Ukraine to the Red Sea, and China is producing them in masses and less expensively than Americans can. Ukraine opened eyes around the world to the changing face of warfare in Operation Spiderweb. In that campaign, Ukraine clandestinely inserted drones into Russia hidden inside trucks and then, on June 1st, remotely launched dozens of the weapons against Russian military airfields. The other critical matter on congressional minds is how America's drones and guided weapons can be effective in the face of adversaries, including ability to jam the radio frequencies and global positioning system signals that U.S. forces and their weaponry need to find their way in combat. Uncrewed systems pose both an urgent and enduring threat to United States personnel, facilities, and assets, to include those located inside the United States homeland, said the draft report accompanying the fiscal 2026 NDAA. These threats are rapidly changing how wars are fought in real time, as recently seen in conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. Notably, the draft NDAA measure would require the Defense Secretary and the Administrator of the Federal Aviation Administration to choose four facilities or assets in the United States where counter drone systems will be deployed within a year of the fiscal 2026 NDAA's enactment. The report would direct the Government Accountability Office to assess how U.S. military training is adjusting to the changes in warfare driven by unmanned systems. The measure would also require a report from the Pentagon on China's capability to disrupt U.S. command, control, communications, intelligence, and reconnaissance systems, including via jamming of signals, known as electronic warfare. The draft NDAA report contains more than a half dozen mandates for Defense Department officials to brief lawmakers on how the Pentagon is addressing the pressing changes in warfare, including required updates on how the department is responding to lessons learned from drone warfare in Ukraine and the Middle East by improving U.S. doctrine, planning, training, and equipping in response, how the department and the wider U.S. government is processing at keeping Western technology out of the Iranian drones that are wreaking havoc or wreaking damage in multiple conflicts, how the Army plans to expand and diversify its systems for countering drone attacks, the Air Force's plans for defending bases against aerial attacks by using a land based version of the Navy's Phalanx air defense weapon, a cannon that can shoot down artillery rounds, mortars, rockets, and drones, and that the Army is also using. How the U.S. military plans to operate its own drones and loitering munitions when they are contested by jamming. The feasibility of land based systems that could replace GPS for navigation and timing if the satellite signal is jammed or otherwise unavailable. A lot going on there. A lot going on there that they got to figure out. I hope they can do it. Should be able to do it. Let's look at today in military history. 1940, German planes attacked British ships in the canal. Also in 1940, Battle of Britain began as Nazi forces attacked by air. In 1943, U.S. and Britain invade Sicily in World War II, Operation Husky. In 1945, Lieutenant Admiral Mark Mitcher named Chief of U.S. Navy Staff. In 1951, armistice talks to end Korean conflict began at Kosang. Hope I pronounced that right. In 1980, Ayatollah Khomeini releases Iran hostages Richard I. Queen? Memorable events for July 10th, 1850. President Fillmore is sworn in the day after President Taylor's death. In 1866, Edson Clark receives the patent for an indelible ink pencil. In 1890, Wyoming becomes a 44th state. In 1919, President Wilson hand delivers the Treaty of Versailles to the Senate. In 1981, The Fox and the Hound is released by Disney. In 1985, Coca-Cola announces it will revert to selling the old formula Coke. Today is National Pina Colada Day and National Kitten Day. Go drink a pina colada. Have a good day. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope the story helps you out. God bless y'all. Have a great day, great night, whatever the case may be. We'll see you next time on the Scotty B Show.